Hello and welcome to Brain Briefing. This is a website explaining the parts of the brain and their functions. Today I'm going to take you through a tour of this website and explain in detail the parts of the brain. Let's go! On the left-hand side of the website, there's a sidebar with links to go to each page that I have created. Let's start with the overview. Once we click on this link, we will be taken to a page with an overview on the human brain. This page explains the purpose of the brain and why it is so important. It also introduces neurons and the steps the brain takes to process information and generate appropriate responses. Now that we are done with the overview, let's click on the link to the parts of the brain. We are taken to a page that has links to each part of the brain. These links will explain in depth the function and location of each brain structure. Let's start with the oldest and innermost part of the brain, the brainstem. Once we have clicked the link, we will be transported to the three sections of the brainstem: the medulla, the pons, and the midbrain. All basic life functions originate in the brainstem, including automatic survival functions such as heartbeat, blood pressure, and breathing. The medulla is located at the bottom of the brainstem. It helps to coordinate movements, and it also creates the level of consciousness necessary for sleep. The midbrain helps regulate body movement, vision, and hearing. In addition to the three parts of the brainstem, reticular formation, which is a finger-shaped nerve network, plays an important role in controlling arousal. Now let's click on the thalamus. Sitting on top of the brainstem is a joined pair of egg-shaped structures called the thalamus. The thalamus is the brain's sensory switchboard. It receives information from all the senses except smell and directs it to the brain regions that deal with these specific senses. We are now moving on to the cerebellum. The cerebellum extends from the rear of the brainstem, and it is commonly referred to as the little brain. The cerebellum coordinates voluntary movement and processes sensory information. It also contains more neurons than the rest of the brain combined. Next, we are going to click on the limbic system. The limbic system is a donut-shaped system of neural structures that wraps around the thalamus. The limbic system includes the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the hypothalamus. The amygdala consists of two lima bean-sized neural clusters. It helps the body respond to emotions such as fear, aggression, and rage. The hippocampus is used for learning memory. It is specifically useful in converting temporary memories into permanent memories that are stored in the brain. The hypothalamus lies just below the thalamus. It performs specific bodily maintenance duties, such as controlling mood, thirst, hunger, and temperature. The hypothalamus allows the body to maintain homeostasis. It also helps govern the endocrine system via the pituitary gland. We are now moving on to the cerebrum. The cerebrum is the largest portion of the brain, and it contains four lobes: the frontal lobes, the parietal lobes, the occipital lobes, and the temporal lobes. They are responsible for most of the brain's function. The frontal lobes are the main site of higher cognitive functions, such as problem-solving, creative thinking, decision-making, smell, and much more. They are also involved in speaking and muscle movements. The frontal lobes contain Broca's area, which is an area that controls language expression. The parietal lobes play an important role in integrating information from different senses to build a coherent picture of the world. They receive sensory input for touch and body position. The temporal lobes lie roughly above the ears. They control auditory memories, each of which receives information primarily from the opposite ear. The temporal lobes also contain Wernicke's area, which controls language reception. The occipital lobes are located at the back of the head, and they include visual areas, which also receive visual information from the opposite visual fields. The last link we are clicking on is the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is the intricate fabric of interconnected neurocells that covers the cerebral hemispheres. It is the body's ultimate control and information processing center. It includes motor functions, sensory function, and association areas. The motor cortex is an area at the rear of the frontal lobes that controls voluntary movement. The sensory cortex is an area at the front of the parietal lobes that registers and processes body touch and movement sensations. The association areas are vast regions of the cerebral cortex that are involved in integrating information and associating sensory inputs with stored memories. They have specific functions in each of the lobes. We have now gone through each brain structure. I hope this helped you with the layout of this website and with understanding the parts and functions of our brain. Now you are ready to explore this website on your own. Each page goes more in depth with the topics I have talked about today. Enjoy!